It is that time of the week again, Hazard Gang. We had our Tuesday content update in Red Dead Online a few days ago, so it's about time we give a little bit of a refresher for those who missed it, but more importantly, a buying guide, because nothing is more valuable to me than making sure you aren't wasting your hard-earned money in Red Dead. And that's the same sentiment from yesterday's video. Red Dead Online is a grind, and we don't have the time to play hours upon hours to obtain content, so we are back with another, at least what I hope, to be a helpful buyer's guide for all the items included in this week's update, because we have some really huge discounts, and of course, as always, Rockstar has thrown in some free items for you as a player as well. Are they giving back? Well, we will get into that in just 1 second. If you enjoy this video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it, and if you want to stay up to date with everything Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online, consider hitting that subscribe button with your notifications turned on. This week's update in Red Dead Online, honestly, is pretty nice. Their replies on the tweet for their newswire on Tuesday had really positive comments, which goes against the overly negative reception to most of Rockstar's weekly updates, but since the Naturalist released, I think we've had some pretty good ones so far, because earlier this year, they weren't much more exciting than a pile of dirt was. So what can players take advantage of this week? Let's talk about it. We discussed everything on Tuesday, but I wasn't able to really get into what's worth your time and especially your money and what's not. So the top line discount is when you hunt the legendary milk coyote, which is new this week. You can choose to, of course, skin it or sedate it like always, and if you decide to sedate it while you're ranking up the Naturalist role, you can get 40% off any distinguished role item. Now, this discount isn't tied to the rest of the discounts this week, which are discounts for the Moonshiner role. Players can waive the cost of moving their Moonshine shack this week. I usually post up in the bayou. I think that's the best location, and I've made a video on why and my thoughts and discussed it more in detail in my ranking all roles video from worst to best, which actually needs an update now that we have the Naturalist role. But anyways, if you're located over in New Austin, Tall Trees, or the Heartlands, or heck, even the Grizzlies, that's actually the first location I chose for my Moonshine shack. This week may be a good time to try out some new locations. It's free, so why not? If I were to exclude the Bayou Moonshine Shack location, I would probably say Tall Trees is the spot to be. The bootlegger missions don't take you very far, unlike the New Austin location. Sometimes with that one, Rockstar has you off to Tumbleweed on the occasion for bootlegger missions, which is crazy just to knock 10 bucks off your Moonshine match price because it takes a while to get out there. The trails are also very smooth in Tall Trees, just like the Bayou, so that's good when you're on your deliveries. You can keep your fast pace with the wagon and not really break bottles as easily as, say, like the Grizzlies, for example, where every time you cross over that Cumberland Falls waterfall, you'll inevitably lose a bottle unless you're like snail pacing it over the water. The Tall Trees shack is right next to the Manzanita fast travel post. The only negative really is the delivery distances. They aren't super far, and they certainly aren't the furthest out of all the shack locations, but compared to the Bayou, they do feel like it, but it's more or less just the trails you have to take. Like, for example, they have you winding up and down and around mountains as opposed to the Bayou, which is just a straight shot to Saint Denis, or at the furthest, the shack along the water just west of it. But of course, that's not the biggest deal to some folks, so try out the locations you haven't explored as a Moonshiner yet, and let me know what you think. Now that's just the tip of the iceberg today though. Bootleggers can get 40% off all novice and promising Moonshiner items, and also 3 gold bars off the Moonshiner bar themes. The basic bar theme actually looks slightly different depending on where your shack location is located, but the Floral, Hunter, and Refined, which are all 12 gold bars this week, are consistent if you choose to purchase one of those. Now remember, we also have a new theme upcoming in the new Halloween celebration update later this year, so a 40% discount on tons of Moonshiner role items. What are these? Let's break them down and I'll give my thoughts on which ones you should focus on here, or at least the ones that are worth your money. Starting off with the fence, you can get 40% off the flammable Moonshine bottles and get it for only $8, or get the flammable Moonshine pamphlet so you can craft those bottles for only $300. I'd recommend you stick away from both. As always, if you have a ton of money to spend and you're looking to spend some of it, of course, go crazy. But most of the folks watching who request these kinds of buying guide videos, I would assume want to know the best of the best so they don't have buyer's remorse when they realize some of the items may be more or less pointless. Over at Madame Nazar, you can grab the Darrow belt buckle, the Home gloves, and the Nevin hip flask, all for 40% off. The Darrow buckle now costs 3 gold instead of 6, the gloves cost 4 gold instead of 8, and the Nevin hip flask costs 4 gold instead of 8 as well. For the cosmetic items, these are very expensive, even with that 40% discount. For cosmetics as well, I can't in good faith really say that these are worth it either. If I were to choose one, having the character walk around with a flask on his hip is honestly pretty cool, so if character appearance is something you're really into, considering this is a third-person game and all, you want to look as good as possible in your mind when you play. gameplay, and the hit flask may be a nice equipment choice, but it doesn't do anything to your character. You can't carry alcohol collectible bottles in there, use it for a quick free tonic if you don't have any others. It's just a cosmetic item, so whether it's 4 gold, 8 gold, or even 1 gold or almost free, look elsewhere for a good deal here. But speaking of cosmetics though, the Gatlinburg and the Dagenhart Moonshine outfits are on discount too. They are the lower level Moonshine outfits, but I honestly prefer them a little more than the higher level Moonshine outfits, and they cost a lot less too, especially with the 40% discount this week. Again, the same rule applies for me though. It's cosmetic, so if you have very limited funds, we'll get into items that are actually worth your money as opposed to further upgrades once you've purchased all the necessities in the game. Now at the Moonshine Shack, you can get 40% off Toxic Moonshine bottles, the Toxic Moonshine pamphlet, and once again the Flammable Moonshine bottles. It's probably worth stocking up on a few of the Toxic Moonshine bottles because they are fun to throw at enemies, and watching them cough and run away from the gas only for them to get their head blown off by your shotgun is always funny. But the Toxic Moonshine pamphlet is actually one I would recommend to you. It's nice because you can craft the Toxic Moonshine bottles, but more so, there are Moonshiner daily challenges that revolve around you crafting 2 Toxic Moonshine bottles. This challenge pops up quite frequently too, and you'll see it every couple of days, and if being a completionist on the daily challenges or stacking more and more gold is something you like doing, just like me, you can't pass up on this opportunity. Even with the discount, what you're doing is essentially trading cash for gold, but after so many times of doing this challenge and having your streak of 21 plus days where you're getting 50 nuggets every time, you'll be profiting very soon. And like everything in life, you have to spend some money to make money. Now, speaking of spending money to make money, this is the pinnacle of that phrase. Take 40% off your Moonshine business upgrade. If you are wondering how to make more money as a Moonshiner because you're delivering your 20 bottles of Moonshine but not really making much money, it's because you are making weak Moonshine. You need to upgrade your Moonshine Condenser, and this is the perfect week to do that because of the super low cost. I think without a doubt this is the best item on discount this week because you'll be making so much more money if you invest in your Moonshine business just a little bit. Now we have to talk about discounts at the Gunsmith, but let's head over to the stable first because this is probably the second most important discount this week. You can enjoy 40% off the lower level Moonshine Norfolk Roadster horses. I know, they are the low tier variants and they can't be better than the level 21s, right? Well, it depends on what's important to you. For example, health and stamina are very important traits for everybody, I'd say, but if you rock the Nakadocha's saddle, which gives you 35% less stamina drain on your horse, and you combine it with the hooded stirrups, which prevents an extra 50% stamina drain, that means you're using 85% less stamina drain on your horse than someone who isn't. Now that's like the god combo for a horse. Most folks know that and are using that by now, so those stats have always been kind of a non-issue. But what about the hidden stat, courage? You know, the one that changes from horse to horse, player to player, and account to account. I can tell you 2 Norfolk Roadster horses are never the same, really just any horse. If I buy 2 of the same coat for the Norfolk Roadster or any other horse, they will act different at different levels of bonding, and that differs from male to female horses, player to player with the same horses, or even account to account, whether you're on PS4, PC, or Xbox One. I'd say there's no real way to gauge a horse's courage besides the general game guide, and it always seems more RNG, but these low-level Roadster horses I honestly like more than the max level ones. On a personal level, I like the coats better, but if you're a player who doesn't have the $800+ to spend on a level 20 Roadster, you can get one of the originals for just 90 bucks this week, and there's a really good chance that one will perform better in combat and in dangerous situations for you compared to a higher level horse. They have my stamp of approval for sure. Try them out if you want. The Ivers saddle is also on discount. It's definitely cool to rock the same roll horse along with the same roll specific saddle, but if you're looking for utility, the Nakadocha's saddle with hooded stirrups really is just unbeatable across the board no matter what. And of course, at the Gunsmith, like we talked about, the Levin's gun belt, the Moonshiner gun belt is 40% off again. Cosmetic only, it's personal preference in terms of how it looks on your character and with your outfits, but could be worth it depending on who you are. That's our show for today. We're gonna wrap up the buying guide right here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything on sale this week in the comments section below. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, hopefully I earned your like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Red Dead Online, Red Dead Redemption 2, and even Rockstar games as a whole. We'll be sure to keep you guys up to date with updates, news, information, tips, tricks, leaks, and we'll keep you guys updated here on the channel daily, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on all 3 of those websites, and you can feel free to strike up a conversation and even ask me a question. Whatever it may be though, you can follow me at HazardousHDTV, and all of my social media links, including my Discord, can be found in the description down below. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next Red Dead Online video. Adios, amigos.